Hello, my name's Jessica Dark and I'm a PhD student at Birkbeck University. I'm multiply neurodivergent, and what I mean by that is I've got several different conditions that work together to explain how my brain processes the world. But when you're thinking about neurodivergence, it's really important to not differentiate between the mind and the body. Everything I think, everything I process impacts how I feel, how I communicate, how I respond to people, and how I respond to the world. So the level of disability that I experience is really dependent on what's going on at the time, the environment, how I'm feeling, and this fluctuates from day to day. The hardest thing I find being a neurodivergent adult is that people tend to judge me on my intellectual ability and my hyper communication skills at times. And because I present quite bright and quite articulate, they don't seem to realise that day to day can be a bit of a struggle. I can burn myself, I can fall over, I can find environmental situations really overwhelming. I can be highly articulate one moment and then shut down and not be able to speak in another. And the differences in my presentation, I find, is what really confuses people. It's not as simple as saying somebody is disabled and somebody is high functioning. You really kind of have to consider that person throughout the entirety of their day and their functioning throughout that day. Just because you see somebody presenting in front of a crowd doesn't mean that they're not petrified inside. And it doesn't mean that at the end of the day, they're not overloaded and in bed in pain. And that's another thing that I think is really heavily important to recognise, is that sensory overwhelm, particularly for me, is painful. It impacts me physically. It impacts how I can process the rest of the day. If I'm overloaded, I may not be able to cook for myself. I may not be able to undress for going to bed. I just flop. So when you see an autistic person or an ADHD person or someone with any neurodivergence, and you think, oh, look at their skills, look how high functioning they are, look at how intelligent they are. Please remember that person still needs supports. That person still needs recognition of their difficulties. All neurodivergent people need a level of support and understanding and strategies in order to operate in this neurotypical world. As an adult recognised neurodivergent woman, I understand firsthand how frustrating it is to not be appropriately supported in the workplace. And this has really inspired me to incorporate this within the PhD. I am researching autistic women's experiences of diagnosis disclosure in the workplace. That includes how they found sharing their diagnosis, or if they chose not to share, what were the reasons for that, in conjunction with the supports and strategies and self-implemented supports that they've put in as a result of sharing or withholding their diagnosis. And I hope that this research will contribute to the wider body of research in understanding what supports, strategies and reasonable adjustments autistic women need to be best supported in their career